Phase 4 of the UP elections kicks off now, and the big battle for Lucknow is something we'll be getting you details of here on India Today. The biggest battery of reporters we've got fanned out across regions that are voting this morning. Supriya Bharatwaj is joining us live from Unnao. We have Shreya Chatterjee joining us from Banda, Samat Srivastava from Lucknow, Amit Bharatwaj from Fatehpur. And they'll be constantly getting us updates from the ground on exactly what's playing out and what you can watch out for, the battles to watch out for in Phase 4. Before I take this across to our reporters, let me just give you a primer of what really to expect in round 4 of the UP battle. Half of the election now is officially over in Uttar Pradesh. The BJP is focusing its attacks mainly on the Samajwadi Party. The war of words, of course, has escalated. Phase 4 is going to see polling in some very, very important constituencies. Lucknow, the Gandhi bastion, Raebareli. So it's a prestige battle for Priyanka Gandhi. Congress had failed, remember, to defend the Amethi Lok Sabha constituency in the 2019 elections. This time, in the assembly elections, can they still hold on to Amethi, to Raebareli? Rebel Congress leader, one-time Rahul confidant, Aditi Singh has also dumped the party. She's contesting from Raebareli and this time on a BJP ticket. With 59 seats in the polling fray, the fourth phase is likely to be the most decisive phase as to exactly who will be the next Chief Minister of Uttar Pradesh. Lakhimpur, another constituency to closely watch out for because of all that played out last year, the showdown, the farmers' deaths, the protests as well. It remains to be seen if BJP can actually repeat its 2017 performance in the district, considering all the heat that the BJP has faced over the Lakhimpur Kheri violence. Let's listen in to all of the political reactions that have come in ahead of polling in Phase 4.
गुजरात के एक न्यायालय ने 38 आतंकवादियों को फांसी की सजा दी है और भाइयों बहनों उनमें से 8 लोगों का संबंध उत्तर प्रदेश के आजमगढ़ से है। आजमगढ़ में एक आतंकवादी को फांसी की सजा जो पाया है उसका अब्बा समाजवादी पार्टी का प्रचारक है आजमगढ़ में। मैं अब्बा जान तभी बोलता था क्योंकि मैं इनकी हरकतों को देखता था। समाजवादी पार्टी के मुखिया को इस पर अपना स्पष्टीकरण देना चाहिए और जनता जनार्दन से माफी मांगनी चाहिए।
मैं क्यों सफाई दूं? जो एजेंसी देश की हैं उन्हें कम से कम जांच करनी चाहिए और उन्हें इसलिए भी जांच करनी चाहिए क्योंकि लोकसभा में मैं बैठता हूं। जिस लोकसभा में प्रधानमंत्री जी बैठते हैं और बड़े बड़े मंत्री सब लोग बैठते हैं उसी लोकसभा में मैं बैठता हूं, तो कम से कम जांच एजेंसियों को करनी चाहिए। और फिर इसलिए है कि जनता ने इस बार भारतीय जनता पार्टी की खटिया खड़ी कर दी है, इसीलिए आप देखेंगे उनके बयान घटिया आएंगे और जैसे जैसे नाराज़गी बढ़ेगी जनता के अंदर, बीजेपी को हार सताएगी। आप बहुत सारे स्टेटमेंट्स बीजेपी के नेताओं के समाजवादी पार्टी के खिलाफ देखेंगे।
आपको याद होगा जिस पिता को मंच से धक्के देकर हटाया था, जिसे अपमानित करके पार्टी पर कब्जा जमाया था, उसी से गुहार लगानी पड़ी कि मेरी सीट बचाइए। जब मुख्यमंत्री पद का उम्मीदवार ही अपनी ही सीट पर असुरक्षित हो तो हवा के रुख का पता आसानी से लगाया जा सकता है।
मैं ये जानना चाहता हूँ बीजेपी वाले को तकलीफ क्या है? अगर नेताजी दूर रहते हैं तो मुझे औरंगजेब कहते हैं, नेताजी ले में वोट मांगते हैं तो वो कहते हैं ये क्यों कर रहे हैं। आखिरकार बीजेपी की तकलीफ क्या है? मैं आपको बता दूं तकलीफ क्या है। कल देश के नंबर 2 के नेता वहां गए थे, उनसे पूछिए बीजेपी वालों से कि आखिरकार कुर्सियां कितनी खाली थी, लोग कितने थे, और 100 गुना लोग 1 किलोमीटर दूर की सभा में।
So that gives you a sense of really how heated the battle for Uttar Pradesh has become. Let me take this across to our reporters on the ground. Let me just quickly reintroduce them for you. We have Supriya Bharatwaj joining us from Unnao, Shreya Chatterjee from Banda, Milind Sharma who's joining us from Lakhimpur Kheri, and Amit Bharadwaj from Fatehpur. Two constituencies that I'm watching out for this morning is one, Lakhimpur Kheri, the other, Unnao. And Milind, I'd like to begin with you. Good morning. There's going to be a lot of focus on the district that you're in, Lakhimpur Kheri, and which way it will go. It's gone the BJP way before, but considering all that played out last year, the showdown, the violence, the BJP is going to be a bit wary this time.
Yes, definitely, Akshita. Very good morning to you as well. And I'm at a polling booth here in the Lakhimpur Kheri, the larger district. But this seat is called Ninghasan. And certainly this very polling booth is where Ajay Mishra Teni and Ashish Mishra Monu, now out on bail after the horrific incident where there were farmers who were killed here in the Lakhimpur area, will be voting today. And you can see behind me there is a line of a queue of voters already present at the polling station as well, way before time. You said it rightly, the Lakhimpur Kheri area has about 8 Vidhan Sabha seats, which all went to the BJP the last time. But this time we are hearing, Akshita, that it's going to be a tough fight for the BJP to retain this particular area, definitely because of the incident that took place on the 3rd of October. Talking about the caste voting combination here, we have a lot of voters who are from the Maurya Samaj, and that would perhaps be the deciding factor for who will get the most votes in this particular area. But we have seen recurring protests from the farmers after the incident, and with the recent development of Ashish Mishra Monu being out on bail, it has once again ignited the fire in the minds of the farmers as well as those who support the farming issues in the area. This particular district is about 81 kilometers from the main city, and let me also show you, because there is strict police deployment in the area. A while ago we were not being allowed to report from over here because the police is trying to make sure that even in the event when Ashish Mishra and Father Ajay Mishra come to this polling booth to cast their votes, there should not be a law and order issue. But certainly the issue of the death of the farmers, as well as one of the reporters, resonates far and wide within the area as well. We also have the Maurya votes, the Kurmi votes. There are Brahman voters here as well. So that's just talking about the caste combination here. But certainly it will be difficult, it seems, for the BJP to retain this particular bastion or not. Only the voters will decide in this particular Lakhimpur Kheri district of Ninghasan there. Back to you.
All right, let's cut across live right now to some inputs that are coming in.
जो उन्होंने बिल्कुल नहीं किया, और अभी आज की 10 तारीख को पता भी चल जाएगा।
प्रियंका गांधी ने भी यहाँ पर कैंप किया था। प्रियंका गांधी, राहुल गांधी सब आए, क्या लगता है आपको गांधी परिवार का कोई असर नहीं रहने वाला है?
राहुल गांधी जी नहीं आए थे, प्रियंका जी 2 दिन के चुनाव के टाइम तो आती ही हैं, चुनाव के टाइम तो उनको दिखना ही दिखना होता है।
अदिति, इस बार के चुनाव में महिला वोट बैंक पर बहुत भरोसा है बीजेपी को और आपको?
डेफिनेटली भरोसा किस आधार पे? काम के आधार पे भाई साहब, मैडम। काम पिछले 16 बेस
Live reaction that we're getting to you right now of Aditi Singh. Let's cut across live now to BSP chief Mayawati, who's out there. We're cutting across to a live report.
या फिर भाजपा हो और
बात की जाए कुछ अच्छा। Mayawati now going ahead to cast her vote early in the morning. The BSP chief deciding to go ahead and exercise her franchise before the crowds really peak at the polling stations. Remember that today is the day that polling is happening in Lucknow. So you're going to be seeing a lot of the big wigs coming out to cast their vote as well. Mayawati, the BSP chief out there, there have been a lot of questions about exactly what the Mayawati factor is going to be this time around, whether the BSP will actually play a role or not. A bit of a muted campaign that we've seen from Mayawati so far. Usually in the course of an assembly election, Mayawati will be right out there campaigning from the front. But it looks like the COVID pandemic, while it's hit many parties, in this particular UP assembly election, Mayawati's party, the BSP, seems to have been hit the hardest, which is why many have been talking about which party exactly will eat into the BSP's vote share. We'll have to see, of course, whether the BSP still proves to be a very strong alternative, whether it comes out to emerge to be much stronger, and this is being misconstrued to be a BJP versus SP battle. But the reading on the ground from our reporters has been that so far the BSP has had a very, very muted campaign and don't really seem to be in the thick of this fight for Uttar Pradesh this time around. BSP chief Mayawati there casting her vote in Lucknow early this morning. She has been campaigning in the last few weeks in the run-up to the election as well. But while every single political party started off their campaigning months ago, that's something Mayawati didn't do, especially with the Election Commission putting forth a number of norms during the Omicron wave that everything turns digital. That's when the BSP perhaps lost the connect that they have with their voters, because a digital campaign doesn't really reach the grassroots. And that's where the BSP matters the most. All of that, of course, are factors that will weigh in, something that we will track on March 10th result today. But today, phase 4, the all-important phase in the Uttar Pradesh battle. You're going to be seeing all the bigwigs emerging and casting their vote. The first one on that list, BSP chief Mayawati, waking up early this morning to ensure that she's one of the first at her polling booth to go ahead and cast her vote, thereby kind of jump all the crowds, the queuing that you'd expect at the polling booths through the day. And these are live images that we're getting to you of BSP chief Mayawati casting her vote. I've been telling you also about, the BSP factor, what really it will mean in this particular election. But at this point, the BJP, the Congress, the SP, they've all been trying to woo the Dalit vote and thereby eat into the BSP's core vote bank as well. That could also prove to be a problem for Mayawati. Let me take this across to also our reporters on the ground. Amit Bharadwaj is joining us from Fatehpur with more on this. Amit, there will be a lot of questions also on the BSP factor. A lot of bigwigs today who are going to be casting their vote. Mayawati is already out there, but considering Lucknow today is voting, all the big political leaders, all the big faces of Uttar Pradesh will be out to cast their vote today.
Well, absolutely right, and 59 seats are going for polls in the fourth phase, including the 6 seats of Fatehpur. Now, remember, all these 6 seats were won by the BJP in 2017 assembly polls, and 2 of the Yogi Adityanath government's minister held from this particular seat as well. Now, coming back to your question, how the BSP factor is going to pan out in this particular election. Now, Fatehpur was amongst one of the reasons where BSP used to have a very strong hold because of diverse caste dynamics. What we have seen in the first 3 phases, that the fate of the candidates were dependent on particular 3 or 4 castes. But now, as the election progresses, particularly in fourth phase, what we would see is the electoral fate of candidates and the parties would be dependent on much larger caste dynamics. For instance, in Fatehpur, the BSP used to have a strong hold. Now, the reason being is that this particular district not only has the Dalit community voters, but you also have voters from the Kurmi community, from the Maurya community, and an array of Dalit and OBC communities have electoral say in this particular district, along with the minority community vote bank that decides the final fate of the candidates in the electoral fray. But this time around, if you ask the voters in Fatehpur, in any of the 6 assembly constituencies of Fatehpur, what they talk about is that it is going to be a direct fight between the Bharatiya Janata Party and the Samajwadi Party alliance. Definitely, BSP is going to hold its core vote bank. It has lost touch of its core vote bank. But as far as the expansion is concerned, its hold over the other non-Jatav Dalit community vote bank is concerned, or the impact on the OBC, non-Yadav OBC vote bank is concerned, it appears that on the ground that control BSP has completely lost, and the narrative has been set between the Bharatiya Janata Party and the Samajwadi Party. One thing that needs to be noted about the 6 seats of Fatehpur is that Samajwadi Party alliance has also figured out very strategically as to who their candidate is going to be in order to expand its vote bank. Over to
Okay.
you, Akshita.
Thanks, Amit, for getting us those details. I just want to also give you a sense, as we're continuing to beam those live images of BSP chief Mayawati casting her vote there, the big political players, Mayawati, Akhilesh Yadav, Yogi Adityanath, all of them have spoken to us here in India today, and they give you a sense of how crucial this particular assembly election is to them and to their party's survival, really, in the UP battle. Listen to what Akhilesh Yadav had to say in this conversation with my colleague Ashutosh Mishra.
आप जहां पर आए हैं, मैंने देखा आपका भाषण सुन रहा था, स्टूल वाले मंत्री, इन सब के बीच में जो रफ्तार है, उनका दावा 300, आपने हम आज तक के मंच पर कहा कि 400, तो साइकिल की रफ्तार कहां तक पहुंची?
देखिए, समाजवादी पार्टी को जनता ने पहले चरण में समर्थन दे दिया है, पहले चरण दूसरे चरण में शतक लगा है, और उसके बाद जो तीसरा चौथा है, मैं ये दावा कर सकता हूं कि समर्थन और बहुमत चौथे चरण के बाद हो जाएगा। 7वें चरण तक ऐतिहासिक बहुमत सरकार बनने जा रही है गठबंधन की।
आपका गला तक खराब हो गया चौथे कैंपेन के प्रचार के दौरान, देखो आवाज बैठ रही है धीरे धीरे।
आप भी अगर फील्ड में रहोगे, फील्ड में क्योंकि एक दिन में कई भाषण देने पड़ते हैं, चलो हमारा तो गला गया है, लोगों के चेहरे उड़ गए हैं, लोगों की हवा खराब है। सोचो कि क्या मुद्दे हैं। आज मुद्दा है बेरोजगारी का, मुद्दा महंगाई का है, कोरोना में जान गई, लॉकडाउन में जाने गई। आप हैं, आप भी एक प्रेस के उसमें हैं, कोरोना और लॉकडाउन के समय आपका भी वेतन कम हो गया होगा। तो सोचो कोरोना में क्या सामना किया जनता ने। आज ये जितने खड़े सब नौजवान हैं, ये सब बेरोजगार हैं, जिनके 5 साल बीजेपी ने खराब किए। और क्या दिल्ली में सपना दिखाते हैं 70 लाख नौजवानों को नौकरी दी। क्या ये नौकरी की बात कहेंगे आके यहाँ? क्या रोजगार की बात कहेंगे? और सोचो बीजेपी के बड़े नेता क्या कह रहे हैं, 12वां पास करने के बाद जो इंटर पास करेगा उसे लैपटॉप देंगे। अरे शुक्र है ये तो नहीं कहा इन्होंने कि इंटर पास करने के बाद जो 10वां पास करेगा उसे लैपटॉप देंगे।
युवाओं के साथ मैंने आपका कनेक्ट देखा, वो जिस जोश में आए, वो रिस्पांस दिख रहा था। लेकिन अब प्रधानमंत्री या बड़े नेता जब आतंकवाद का मुद्दा ले आए, 2008 का जो फैसला आया, और उस पर सीधा निशाना साइकिल पर है, क्या आपको लगता है आगे के फेजेज में अगर ये मुद्दा बनता है तो आपको उससे छवि का नुकसान?
आप बहुत बड़े नेशनल चैनल के पत्रकार लग रहे हैं, शायद बहुत पहली बार मैंने आपको देखा होगा। सबसे बड़ा सवाल है कि प्रधानमंत्री जी अपने नाकामी पे वोट मांग रहे हैं। उस समय होम मिनिस्टर कौन था, और फिर उस समय जो सरकार की जिम्मेदारी थी वो क्यों नहीं निभाई? हमें दुख इस बात का है, 14 का चुनाव चला गया, 17 का चुनाव चला गया, 19 का चुनाव चला, इन्हें याद नहीं आया। अपनी नाकामी पे जो वोट मांगे उनके लिए क्या कहना। और सवाल ये है कि महंगाई कम होगी कि नहीं कम होगी, आपके कारखाने लगे कि नहीं लगे, और भारत का पैसा तमाम उद्योगपति लेकर के भाग गए, उसका जवाब क्या देगी सरकार? तो ये सवाल बड़े हैं जो जनता जानती है।
मेरा आखिरी सवाल, एक 45 साल का युवा बीजेपी की बड़े नेता और पार्टी के सामने चुनाव लड़ रहे हैं, कितनी बड़ी चुनौती है अखिलेश यादव के लिए?
ये समाजवादी सरकार
Across live now. And let's focus on the battle for Lucknow. Samarth is currently speaking to the UP Minister Brajesh Pathak, who's contesting from Lucknow cantonment.
ये लगातार देख पा रहे हैं आज तक पर, क्योंकि ये सीट लखनऊ कैंट की बहुत जरूरी है। पिछली बार दूसरी सीट से थे, पर इस बार बीजेपी ने इनकी सीट बदली। हालांकि पॉलिटिकल पंडित ऐसा बताते हैं कि ब्रजेश पाठक जहां से भी लड़ते हैं उनकी जीत सुनिश्चित कही जाती है। पर अब देखना है कि इस बार क्या होता है। और ये देख सकते हैं प्रसाद यहाँ पर लिया है, माला उनको पंडित जी पहना रहे हैं, और आप लगातार तस्वीरें यहाँ पर आज तक पर देख पा रहे हैं एक्सक्लूसिव। मैम, क्या लगता है यूपी के मुद्दे क्या हैं? ये हमारे साथ मौजूद है ब्रजेश जी की वाइफ। क्या लग रहा है यूपी के मुद्दे क्या हैं?
देखिए, हम लोगों ने 5 साल हमारी सरकार रही है, भरपूर काम किया है, और जो मुद्दे अगर बचे होंगे तो वो पुनः सरकार बना करके उन मुद्दों को पूरा करेंगे।
चेंज होने का कोई असर?
कोई असर नहीं। और बहुत
आइए हम ले चलते हैं आपको। आइए हमारे साथ, ये देख सकते हैं पूजा अर्चना करते हुए ब्रजेश पाठक। आप तस्वीरें देख पा रहे हैं एक्सक्लूसिव आज तक पर यहाँ पर, और हाथ में प्रसाद लिए, ओके, हाथ में प्रसाद लिए ब्रजेश पाठक जी आगे आते हुए, और मुख्य परिसर जो मंदिर का है उसकी तरफ जाते हुए आपने लाइव तस्वीरें देख रहे हैं यहाँ पर आज तक पर कि किस तरह से ब्रजेश पाठक पूजा अर्चना करते हुए। हनुमान सेतु का ये मंदिर, पौराणिक कई मान्यताएं इस मंदिर को लेकर हैं, और जो कि लखनऊ कैंट, जैसे कि मैंने बताया, उम्मीदवार हैं। और सबसे पहले आकर बजरंग बली के दर्शन करते हुए ब्रजेश पाठक उनका आशीर्वाद लेते हुए आप देख पा रहे हैं यहाँ पर अपनी वाइफ के साथ यहाँ मौजूद। और एक तरह से लखनऊ की अगर आप बात करेंगे तो पॉपुलर नेताओं में आते हैं। हम इनके साथ बने रहेंगे, आप लगातार देखते रहिए आज तक। कैमरामैन गौरव के साथ समर्थ श्रीवास्तव, आज तक।
Okay, so we'll be getting you all the live updates, the biggest voices right here in India today. Polling has kicked off in many parts of Uttar Pradesh in phase 4 of polling. As I mentioned, we're going to be focusing on the big battle for Lucknow and continuing to get you all the analysis from the ground. I'm slipping into a very short break. We'll be right back with our non-stop coverage of phase 4 of the UP battle in just a minute.